ignite the flames a little bit. Let's lose the word refusal to serve for allergens. Do you know? It's a completely different headline, isn't it?
Yeah.
Restaurant boss turns away everyone with an allergy. You've seen a headline, oh my goodness, who is this weird guy that's turning people away at the door? But if you'd listened to the interview from the radio show, it was like the outpouring of support far outweighs the outpouring of hate. What you've got to remember here is I've got every right to refuse service, even if you're an irate guest, never mind if you've got an allergy. We can match energy, and I won't quantify or allow people to be that abusive to my team and my staff. It get a bit personal sometimes, and it wasn't about one-upmanship. You know, it's just about a story. Somebody said, how do you know, Jeff, if you haven't got a kid that's got an allergy? And I was like, well, I did adopt a little boy last year, and he came with some complex needs. Part of them needs were definitely really serious issues around food, and we did have him on the milk ladder for a little while. Talk about it. From your point of view, what can I do different? And a few people are saying, why don't you just have a new fryer? Why don't you have an additional fryer? We'll dig on my phone in a minute if you want. We'll have a look at the space. What are we looking to achieve? You're looking to achieve restaurants that are always going to accept every allergy? Are you looking for restaurants that have zero nuts present in the building? From your point of view, what is the end game? You know, then
good to go.
Yeah,
Jeff, absolute pleasure to have you on the Make Insane podcast. Obviously, the BBC News article recently went out for the kind of burger kitchen boss defending turning away people with allergies, and that post or that article went viral. And you've received thousands and thousands of comments off the back of it. And I wanted to do this podcast because I initially used that kind of headline and the image of you. And I saw that a lot of people in the allergy community was giving you like a lot of hate, and some of the comments got really nasty and personal. And I think having someone who's been kind of creating content now for 7 years in the allergy community, the last thing I want was ever for anyone to kind of give you hate. And I think from myself and even Jacob, the co-founder, was we just wanted to ask the question to the community, where is the line with restaurants when they kind of turn away people with allergies, and where is that line, or where is that kind of like grey area? So absolute pleasure to have you on and have this conversation today.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah. How have you been anyway over the last couple of days? It's been a bit hectic for you.
Well, it's a funny old world anyway, running a small business. It's busy, it's frenetic, lots goes on. Not that we've got a position of responsibility, but we are part of a community. We've got a voice. Maybe you have to be careful what you say sometimes. But what an opportunity to have a conversation, because somehow it has really sparked a lot of interest, and it's something we're both passionate about. Great energy. Let's try and make some progress and get some. Yeah,
because I feel like it's a conversation which hasn't really. I feel like it's not really been spoken about before, and I think maybe it has, but I think. I mean, the comments is like it actually surprised a lot. I mean, there's two sides of the coin, and that's why I wanted to kind of get you on it.
So from my point of view, I've been in the industry 36 years, so I've seen firsthand how the vast increase in allergies, in actual allergies, you know, that didn't exist in the industry when I first started. You know, 16-year-old first ever kitchen. So of course we've kind of grown up with that and moved with the same pace with it if possible. But it has been a really quick increase, a really quick steep curve for everybody to learn from, you know. So it's been an interesting few years.
When did you first start kind of being aware about allergies, obviously being a chef? Because I remember like in the 90s when I grew up, I was literally only a kid in school with an allergy.
That's a weird thing, because I often, when we're training and learning and we take new recruits on, one of the things I've always said is people remember the first and last things. Like, I remember the first time I met you at that front door. Yeah. We'll probably remember the last time when I say goodbye after we have a beer after this, you know. But you remember your first and last thing. I remember the first time a guy had an allergy in a kitchen. It was that significant. But it was also extremely rare, you know. And the guy had a mushroom allergy. And some of your listeners might not understand this terminology, but he faxed through his situation. You know, and we all got a copy of it. And he brought his own food. And we made sure he was fed safely from a separate kitchen. It was a massive place I worked in at the time. So really significant. That was probably 36 years ago.
There's a bit of like epidemic now. I recently got a book about more kids now have got allergies, and I think it's like in terms of the population, God, I think it's getting bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. It's difficult to pin numbers down, but I think we are probably looking at the low 20s to mid 20s, 20% of the population. And again, not just because of this current conversation, it's an integral part of my life. I'm a business owner, you know. We have worked in kitchens all of our lives, and we have to know about it. We have to learn. We have to educate ourselves. So yeah.
And you were saying you adopted a son and he had an allergy.
Yeah. Again, because obviously we've been dealing with the internet. It's a tricky place to navigate at the best of times, especially when it's already hypersensitive. You know, there's a lot of people. I feel like they've suddenly got a voice and somebody's going to listen. Sometimes it looks like it's coming out in anger, but I'm thick-skinned and been around the block enough to know that actually they're just letting off some steam and somebody's listening. It did get a bit personal sometimes, and it wasn't about one-upmanship. You know, it's just about a story. Somebody said, "How do you know, Jeff, if you haven't got a kid that's got an allergy?" And I was like, well, I did adopt a little boy last year, and he came with some complex needs. Part of them needs were definitely really serious issues around food, and we did have him on the milk ladder for a little while. No, I'm not trying to compare anything.
Yeah.
You know, then it was, he couldn't eat ice cream, poor him. I was like, come on, this is not what it's about, you know.
It's difficult, I feel, with like social media sometimes, and it's such a machine, and it can be for good, but also for bad as well. And I think
but to be fair, the people that are reaching out, and that story I told was only on the back of somebody asking if I had a child that had an allergy.
Yeah. So
it wasn't there to be belittled, you know, and it wasn't there to be compared. And then I think when you're sitting at home and you're relaxing and you're scrolling or doom scrolling, and then this story jumps out that resonates with you, and you're interested in it, and you've got an opinion or a voice or an analogy, you want to share it.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the things came out a little bit misconstrued. Like I say, came out in a bit of anger. But I felt like I was diplomatic enough to respond to a high percentage of thousands of messages. You know.
Can we talk about the BC News article? Did it start off before that? Was it a post on social media?
Yeah. So even the post before the news asked us to go on a radio show.
Yeah.
I don't know how you quantify viral, but what everyone needs to remember is all we were doing was communicating to our own audience.
Yeah.
You know, we've got 25,000 followers on our Instagram page, probably the biggest following in a local restaurant in Norwich. We've got a community. It's a really fun space to be in. You know, it is a really popular Instagram page. People know us and people know our policies.
So everybody knows
exactly.
Everyone in the community.
Yeah,
kind of
even if I walk through the street, you know, I know everybody in town. We always chat house things. People know our policies. And so all we try to do is try and reiterate them, and we got a bit of hate 2 or 3 weeks in a row from some really irate guests. What you got to remember here is I've got every right to refuse service, even if you're an irate guest, never mind if you've got an allergy.
Yeah.
We can match energy, and I won't quantify or allow people to be that abusive to my team and my staff, regardless of the situation. That's just a fact. Anyway, so these reviews that people are doing, they're out in the public domain. I'm not trying to belittle anyone or pull the wool over anyone's eyes either. Somebody had an experience, they shared it on a TripAdvisor. We reshared it and said, we're glad that this has happened because this is our response to it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of ignited a bit of a flame from there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I think it was a BBC News article, like someone sent me. I was like, have you seen this?
Yeah.
I think when I initially saw the headline, I was like, I'll be really honest. I was like, what? Like,
turn away did you people not even tweak the headline a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know,
and I think like from the initial response when I first read the headline, I was like, what? Like, turn away people with allergies. But then I think obviously when I did that post, it was all, for me, it was about like trying to be, where's that kind of middle ground? And then,
did you listen to the radio interview?
I've not listened to the radio one. No, I've listened snippets of it. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like if you've instigated this little meeting, which is wonderful. Yeah. And we've talked a little bit about the internet and how things can get misconstrued. You've seen a headline, oh my goodness, who is this weird guy that's turning people away at the door? But if you'd listened to the interview from the radio show, it was the outpouring of support far outweighs the outpouring of hate. Yeah.
And that's when obviously when we saw the comments and we said to Jacob like it'd be great to like get you on the podcast, and then we saw that you messaged us, and then we had that phone call, and it was actually really genuine and it was open, and I actually said to you like, I understand the policies, because if I saw that and I've got an allergy and you said you can't serve people with not allergies, then obviously I just wouldn't eat there or like eat somewhere else. And I think I think for us, it's just for me, it was like having this a very open and honest conversation around that, and why you couldn't kind of serve people with nut allergies or sesame and kind of gluten, and kind of get into that with you.
It's a really interesting, like, not experiment's the wrong word, but how like social media and news stories gather pace.
Yeah.
And little bits get shaved off, and it becomes sound bites and bits to serve their own rhetoric, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you what, let's ignite the flames a little bit. Let's lose the word refuses to serve 4 allergens. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's a completely different headline, isn't it?
Yeah.
Restaurant boss turns away everyone with an allergy. It's completely different, isn't it? And I can see why that might get people fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because people are going to see that, and obviously everyone's going to have their own view. And I think the whole thing with the podcast is that we can actually delve into it and understand from your side of it as well. And I think these conversations need to be had, because, like I say, I've got an allergy and I eat out all the time with an allergy, and it'd be interesting to obviously get your take on like where is the line, and kind of like, but more about like behind the scenes for you as well, and like why you can't cater for certain allergies as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, we can talk first hand. You've got an allergy, haven't you? So it's just a two-way conversation. How did you find out you had an allergy? What was your timeline?
Yeah, so I was 5 years old, and my grandma was like coming back from school, and she gave me mum like a bar containing nuts. So I had one bite of this car, and I spat it everywhere over the backseat of the car. Mum's like, what are you doing? I was like, don't like it.
Yeah.
Within minutes of like getting home from primary school, to the home was like literally around the corner, had like red hives and like red chests everywhere. And my parents were like, God, I thought they was playing in nettles originally. My mum thought they'd been playing in nettles. So I was like, no. So then rushed to the emergency doctors when they saw the hives and the swelling, and there was like, he's having an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
Took the antihistamine, and luckily it calmed down. Yeah. And then they did all like the blood test.
Do you think that's the first time you'd had nuts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my mum. I remember my mum saying like she had nuts when she was in pregnancy, but it's funny. Like I still only person in the family.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to like talk about like the mental implications of that. And I think definitely from someone who's got an allergy, I live with allergy anxiety. So when I eat out, there's always that fear of having an allergic reaction, or the fear of like what happens if they don't understand like how serious my allergy is. And you actually shared some on your Instagram story where a chef works in a school and he deals with kids with allergies, and he's in absolutely fear of panic and petrified of them having an allergic reaction. And I think that's something like some people don't always see from, imagine your side of a chef you don't want.
Well, I mean, come on, I've done this for 36 years, haven't I? And I've worked across every genre. I've worked predominantly from a chain restaurant background. That's where I learned the managerial side of stuff, studied at college, uni, whatever you want to call it, for hotel and catering management and business management and stuff like that. So I've worked all the way through every field from independence. I once worked in a restaurant that was celiac certified, you know. I've catered for a wedding that was 100% vegan and celiac, 150 guests. So I've seen that side of it. I don't know if I told you this on the phone. Did I tell you this bit?
About one of the guests?
Well, not the guests. The bride and groom were drinking wine and beer. Yeah. Where I'd spent that much time, effort. And extreme additional cost on that menu. Just an interesting little side note there. About so I've done it all really. Can't remember where we were going.
Yeah, I was going to say I think definitely with with allergy, I've spoke to chefs before.
You were talking about
the fear,
that. The guy in the fear. So this is another. It comes up quite a lot on the threads and on the conversations about the empathy, and everyone. They were trying to say that I was trying to say I was inclusive, but how can you be inclusive if you're turning away a section of your? I was like, no, you're misinterpreting. You haven't listened to the radio. We care about everyone. Yeah. So we care about an allergy sufferer. One of the comments has said we shouldn't use the word sufferer. We should use the word haver. So I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, you're not an allergy sufferer.
I've never really been offended by sufferer. Yeah. I know like some people might do, but I've never.
It's the first time I'd heard the term in 36 years. That was an allergy haver.
I've never heard that one.
I thought it was a typo, but somebody said, it might be. Well done for using the, just.
Oh really?
You're not sufferer as you've got an allergy. You have it, so you're an allergy haver.
Oh,
that was another.
That's the first time I've heard that.
First time, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we. What I was trying to say to everyone from the outset is that we really care about anybody that has an allergy or suffers from an allergy. We really care about all the fellow diners,
Yeah.
people that have took the time to book a table. In this day and age, it's people's money is really tight, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they're going to come and enjoy their own personal night out or party or whatever it is, I really care that they have a good time. So I'm not really comfortable with them witnessing a medical episode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I actually really care about me crew. You know, we've got a small knit team.
You mentioned that you're very kind of close knit.
Absolutely. One of our chefs, and I tell this story all the time, he's my next door neighbour. When we started this in lockdown, he was 14. I went and started making pizzas. He came to wash up, put him through college. He's graduated. He runs service now. He's 19, nearly 20.
Yeah.
And he's running a service on a Saturday that's doing 340 people from that tiny little kitchen. He's not qualified to make life or death decisions. You know, we train everybody. Everybody understands it all. But I've seen the look and the panic behind his eyes when the door opens and the hostess is having a conversation with a guy that's got a nut allergy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when you get to that level of panic, that's when mistakes might happen.
Yeah.
So that's what
How
I'm
is
saying.
the training around that in regards to allergies within your kind of restaurant? Obviously, that they were aware and you make them aware.
Of course.
Because I know some big chains, they do courses, but small chains, sometimes they don't have the budget.
Exactly. This is it.
Because I worked for one of my close friends worked for a small coffee chain. And his brother, his small little brother, who's only like, I think he's 12 now, has allergies.
Yeah.
And he was working this small coffee chain, and he worked at Starbucks as well. So he had the knowledge of like two different coffee chains and how they both deal with allergies and like. But when they have small budgets, they don't have all these like.
Well, I mean, we are
resources.
blessed that we've got a really experienced team. You know, a team that I've built, handpicked with people that I want around us to build a business. So it's all about hands-on training, isn't it? We're not going away on any courses or anything like that. We've all been through a food hygiene training. There's an integral part of that is to have your allergy awareness.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the job training is super important.
Yeah.
I was saying the young lad gets a little bit scared and a bit rabbit in the headlights, but we're there to coach and show them because obviously we do serve people with allergies. Yeah. This is what we've got to remember here. You know, it's only the four allergens that we reach the conclusion.
Is it nuts, gluten, nuts, sesame?
There is a bit of talk when I've got to be careful. It's nuts and peanuts. They're two separate. Yeah. Nuts and peanuts, wheat or gluten, sesame or soy.
Yeah.
So we regularly get guests in that may have an egg allergy. You know, we know we can navigate that really well.
Yeah.
We don't have any eggs in the kitchen. Obviously, we have mayonnaise-based sauces, but we've got a really amazing plant-based menu.
Yeah.
In fact, until recently, all of our sauces were plant-based, made from scratch.
Yeah.
We make the mayonnaise ourselves.
Because I wanted to talk about the, obviously when you book on your booking system, you mentioned it, and I think one of the news articles was like in February or something, but you're saying that it's always been there in regards to when people book. You can get a text message as well, and that can be
so we've tried every avenue of communication. Again, the comments, they're there for a reason. People it's not very human. What a cop out, you know. That's a lazy way to deal with it. But we take about 1,000 bookings a week. So what I'm trying to say is, if you guys that are the allergy sufferers mention it to us, that's you doing that. But if I've got to make 1,000 phone calls to check before you come, that's a lot of man hours, isn't it? So we've always had the same policy, and most of our bookings were done through social media. There's a link on the page, so then we'd have a conversation through DMs. What we're trying to make sure people do is book in advance and give people a heads up if there's an allergy. Yeah. And that could be done through the app or through a DM. And that just opens up another avenue of conversation. I have called people.
I think for me, the avenue of like being transparent and honest is like so important. Because if I go to a restaurant and they say it's safe and it's not safe, or they don't tell me about the risk of may contain, or like you say. Yeah, I've seen one of your videos. With the guy, I think they changed the menu and the matrix was different. Yeah. So they had just about updated the menu. And that was like, for me, it was a big thing, because like if it's not up to date and I just go off the allergy menu. Because I think the thing as well, like not everyone, for me, it's always been empowering people with an allergy to like speak up about it. Absolutely. But some people with allergies, they don't always like speak about it. I definitely like, if you're a teenager and maybe take on that responsibility for the first time. And everything I'm trying to do is...
Especially this day and age. There is a lot of... even on the back of COVID, our social interactions have changed, haven't they?
Yeah.
I might seem like I'm a confident guy. I'm the front face of a busy small restaurant, but I struggle to stand in a queue at a bank, or do you know what I mean? It's just that weird thing that we all are, and we get people come to us because we're such a welcoming space.
Yeah.
We get people that choose to come and dine with us because they know they're going to be safe when they've got that level of anxiety.
Yeah.
But I totally get that, And hey, listen, sometimes I'm saying you always should let them know. But what happened to spontaneity?
Yeah.
You should be allowed to wander down the street and say, you know what, I fancy a pint and a burger.
Yeah.
So I'm not that daft to understand that actually the whole idea of having a hospitality industry is because it might be spontaneous.
Yeah.
But I would also imagine you'd ask for the manager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I think for me, I think the one thing what I was worried about was with restaurants kind of taking this stance where if you got an allergy, we don't want to serve you. And I mentioned there with that kind of risk of cross-contamination, and I've always been I understand that no restaurant is 100% nut free or can guarantee that, but as long as the chef's aware. What's your kind of stance on that?
Well, I think one of the key parts I took away from that interaction you had was that menus change.
Yeah.
And that's quite a big undertaking to change a menu to fit the legality of it all. Update your matrices and communicate to 27 staff across 3 venues. It might sound really simple, but we're effectively working on a production line.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is muscle memory, especially when you're doing 240 burgers in an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? So to change it, it's quite
overnight,
complex.
I can imagine it's not.
I thought the manager that you spoke to was brilliant.
He was, he was really good actually. And my only concern was if he wasn't, say if I went to, I think they've got a few different chains. If they went to a different restaurant and that manager wasn't aware about the changes to the allergy matrix, then I could have potentially add something which was make and take, which is in, and for me that was quite worrying.
So at that point, of course, it's worrying, and you've been through the social anxiety of having to ask, and then you're going to have to get turned away. And
definitely when I don't really eat that kind of food, it was Japanese food, and I don't really know what to order. But
in the same breath, you're a little bit uneasy about it anyway. You've done the right thing and asked. We're just asking for people not to be offended if the answer is no. Do you know what I mean? Because actually having a stand-up row about it's going to cause you much more embarrassment. Do you know what I mean? It's we've actually seen that on more than one occasion, almost borderline aggression. Because we're also programmed in the world to not like being told no. However, with hospitality people, we're a bunch of weirdos. We're programmed to please. That's why we're in the industry.
And you're taking on that responsibility as well for
exactly
for the person you're serving.
100%. So it's interesting.
And I think when we had that phone call, I think the thing what come across you're genuine, you was really open, and we had it wasn't like a heated conversation. It was look, this is my thoughts, and I think. But having this is so important.
So I think a timeline way of things is we reached our own audience first. So of course 25,000 followers that love Bun X are going to be supportive of us. That's why they're there, isn't it? So we're just reaching out to our tribe. Yeah, no problem, Jeff. Thanks for telling me again. We get it, And then it kind of filtered out into the local community. Again, very, very supportive. And then when it reached the viral after Radio 2 with Jeremy Vine. Did you listen to that? Have you
I've seen that one,
and so I actually, nobody will see this side of it, that I'm getting a phone call, waking up to Jeremy Vine have been on, there's a text or a WhatsApp, this is Jeremy Vine, are you free to talk? Nudging me wife and said, Jeremy Vine want to talk to us? Well, she was like, I love Jeremy. Please tell him how much I love him, because he was brilliant on the dancing. Do you know what I mean?
I've been on there once before, actually.
But he is. I actually called the producer and I said, look, I know how tricky he can be. That's the style of the show. I says, I want it to be a two-way conversation that unites us from the outset. I could show you the WhatsApp message. It's I'm not here to cause a divide. I don't want to be there.
That's good, because I remember when I went on, I was quite naive. I was quite young. I'm a guy. I was at the time. I was in my mid-20s or whatever, and they was like, "Oh, do you want to come on the show? It's about airline and about should they serve nuts or whatever." And I thought it'd be a nice conversation. There's another guy who got very heated with me, and to a point where never really been in that situation, and it's on live TV as well. And I felt like it was a bit at time. I thought it was a bit unfair, and it's funny. Like I'm good friends with like Joe Frost, Super Nanny.
Oh yeah.
So she's got allergies, and she's always been a massive supporter of me. It's been really nice, and she rang me after it, and she was like, "You've never had any media training, so in this situation, this is what you should do." And like,
exactly.
And that was really nice. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm just a young guy who's trying to raise awareness about allergies, and
of course,
it actually started off as a magazine, because at university no one knew what the EpiPen was.
Right, there you go.
So I did all this like fashion magazine with them like posing with like the EpiPen and like how to use it and stuff. Yeah. And that went viral, and this is 2015.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then off the back of that, I've just been like trying to raise awareness and then empower people with allergies.
The same as you, really. Of course, I haven't had any media training, and to have, of course, it set off a chain of conversations. The manager group chat, guys, how do you feel? Should we go one step further and just try and get the story out there? Shall we instigate the conversation? If we say no, what are the implications? We thought this through. There was never ever anything discussed about, oh wow, what great exposure. Didn't even enter our minds. Why do we want to reach another 5 million followers that aren't in Norwich? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was more of a conversation about, it is Jeremy Vine. It's probably going to be a little bit invasive. You might get somebody from the other side who's going to give you a run for your money. And so I just said I didn't want to be there to cause any rows. And actually, on the original BBC Norfolk post, a university professor who was a regular guest of ours sort of agreed with us, but put a little bit of an argument against. And they were going to be on the other end of the phone, and I was excited because we wanted to invite them into the pub and show them around the space and ask her advice. Like, what do you think? You've said that we should try harder to cope with more and allow them in. Come and have a look at the space, but she didn't come on in the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, like you say, you did listen to it, but there was the girl from the other side. I spoke to quite a few agencies recently. I think she was from. Let's say Allergy UK.
Yeah.
Sarah, I think her name was Sarah. I'm sorry, but we are going to have a telephone call this week. The interview ended with Sarah agreeing with us when she was on the other end of the line.
Well, that's like us when we had the conversation, and I say things can get strewed online, and like.
Well, it's sort of, like I was saying to you earlier, maybe, but both sides of the coin. Have both already got an opinion, and how difficult is it ever to change anybody's opinion about anything? If you were a Man United fan and I was a Man City fan, I'm not going to have a conversation. Do you know this is the reason why you should support Man City? You're probably not going to even listen. Do you know? So it's going to be really difficult to change people's attitudes. But it would be really nice to educate each other about where we're both coming from.
And I feel we learn so much, and I think like just humanising it as well, and and I think that's why a podcast for me is like you can actually sit down with someone for an hour and actually get to know you as a person.
Definitely.
And like say we had the conversation on the phone call, and obviously the conversation before here. I was going to ask you about in regards to then with Bun X, the buns are may contain, because it's like you mentioned, it's like in a bakery which has like nuts and allergies.
Yes, of course. So there's not many burger places called Bun, is there? You might have a few around, but it was engineered. It was because we wanted to build this product around the bun, because it's always about the meat, isn't it, and the filling or whatever you're going to get. But we worked for weeks and weeks and months on perfecting a recipe, which was a Japanese milk bun. I
was going to say, I didn't know what that was before.
Well, but now I genuinely feel like we might have started a trend. And in fact, there is places in Norwich that have approached the same bakery and said, can we use the same bun as Bun X, because it is that good, And it is what sets us apart. We're going to Burger Fest in London in a couple of weeks' time, because we've been narrowed down to be in the top 20 in the country. It's like almost like the World Cup of burgers. So that's in Richmond, I think in July the 11th to 12th, or 12th to 14th. So we're going to go down and take our product, because that's our USP. That's a Japanese milk bun, handmade for us, that effectively no one's using. And
I'll say that in your bakery, like obviously, and it's not like you say you work with a supplier, but they obviously can't guarantee that. And
of course.
You can't change. You're saying you can't really change the ingredients because you've built this bun from
yeah,
the ground up.
It's somebody used the analogy. Well, I wouldn't go to a fish restaurant if I was allergic to fish, but why do I have to change my sesame Japanese milk bun? Because that is literally what defines our product.
Yeah.
You're not going out for a burger. You're going out for a Bun X.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Bun X is a Japanese milk bun with two locally produced smashed beef patties in the middle, or fried chicken. So yeah, it's a lot of the talk is about discrimination, and it's about making reasonable steps for change.
Yeah.
And yeah, reasonably, I could probably say let's use a sesame-free bun, but it's not reasonable in terms of asking our baker to change their procedures. It's not reasonable at all, you know.
I imagine it'd be quite expensive if you wanted to find another supplier. Would that? I don't know.
So the other side of it as well is we are actually in the process of having an in-house bakery.
Okay.
We've got the equipment, we've got the space. It's just getting it over the line and perfecting the recipe and making it in-house. We've got much more control then.
Yeah.
So that is one massive
what would
element
you say,
of having no
like,
nuts.
Because there might be someone who might turn around and say, well, why can't they do a nut-free bun like Honest Burger, for example?
Yeah, because I mean, like Honest Burger, in my opinion, are the fastest growing chain in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, they've got in-house bakeries. They've got an in-house place to make their own chips. Correct us if I'm wrong. They've got their own butchery department. They are effectively a chain now, you know. And we all know that chains have got everything from legal teams right across the board to separate spaces to manufacture, you know. The other side of that is if the word gets out there that Honest Burger, that's the example you're using, is a safe space, does that mean they'll automatically go there and not disclose an allergy because they've been led to believe it's a safe space? That could actually become more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I've always like disclosed my allergy and stuff. And, I know with Honest, they're completely nut free. I actually ate there this weekend actually.
Yeah. What about the flip side of it? How do you feel about Five Guys?
See, I wouldn't eat there because I think the cuts in peanut oil.
Yeah.
And I think even they might say it's refined peanut oil, and there's a question mark. Like,
so I think they lean into that, and there's peanuts on every counter that you can just eat for free.
It's too much of a risk. I don't even like walking past it because it like gives me anxiety because sometimes you can
But it's weird how that Jeff, the owner of a tiny little burger restaurant in Norwich, is on a podcast about allergies. Yet Five Guys, screw you guys. Well, we're cooking in peanut oil, like it or lump it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point. Like,
It is a really good point. You know, so we're not doing this out to be pedantic.
Yeah.
You know, like
you want to be honest and transparent. And
definitely. And remember, keep tracking back that we were only telling our audience.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we said, I'm going to go on Jeremy Kyle tomorrow. Jeremy Vine, sorry. Jeremy Kyle might suit me a bit better.
Yeah.
But you know, we're not. You know, we didn't set out. Come on. Let's be really dramatic and let's go and tell the world that we.
How have you found it with like social media and comments? I know we spoke a little bit like off camera, and like I think as a people like me, like obviously you want to please people and like, but obviously you can't please everyone, and you can have like different conversations and different opinions, and like definitely when you put yourself out there on social media, like you can't help it. And I've had backlash where I asked an airline once to do the allergy announcement, and a lot of people in the comments like wasn't happy about it, and this post went viral, and it was in the New York Post and Daily Mail, and it went everywhere. And I think sometimes like
I think I've seen it.
Have you?
I think probably. I think I know. I'm suddenly thinking, that's you. That was me in the comments.
What are you doing that? But it's just a bit like it can be. I find it difficult sometimes. Like I find it quite. I get a bit like it can be quite draining. You know, when you get. I don't know. I try not to read the comments all the time sometimes because it has two sides of it, and I think sometimes it can be a bit draining. But I think for you, like, how's I know you're saying predominantly it was positive from your community.
Because I think you've probably only been you've only seen from the
my side of it,
your side of it. But you know, like. Let's just for argument's sake for this conversation, you're pro-allergy and I'm anti-allergy, which is obviously not. But all of the guys that are pro-allergy, the ones that are firing in all these comments, are just seeing their own
view.
Yeah, so obviously the algorithm's showing them.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying there's hundreds of it. It went viral worldwide. I was telling you earlier, I was chatting to some people in Australia last night. You know, most of the stuff is extremely positive.
Yeah.
Like heartwarmingly positive, you know, like well done. Like, you're the voice or the unelected spokesperson for an industry.
Yeah.
You know, an industry full of chefs that are actually in the highest bracket of a stressful environment. It is the hospitality industry that's on its knees, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's the hospitality industry that's got the highest rate of suicide and all of that sort of stuff. So when people talk about empathy, you've got to get beyond your own living room, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. There's people with children that have got allergies, and at last they can fight for them and have a voice. That's really important.
And that's like everything I was trying to do, like, because I think a lot of people with allergies like don't always have a voice and stuff, and like I say, we've both created these incredible communities, but also it's great that both communities, hopefully having this conversation come together.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's, for me, is like so important, because I think, like, I don't know, like, I know you spoke to a few of the allergy charities as well, but I think it's important to kind of,
So we spoke, again, people across all these threads probably haven't seen that we reached out. I quickly realised that this was gathering a lot of pace, and we quickly realised that we were going to be able to access you guys and find out how you felt and what we could do as an industry, not personally, you know. So I reached out to Natasha Foundation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know the history. I know the story behind it, obviously, and it's something that strikes a chord to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously, and it's not anecdotal, and I'm not trying to belittle this at all, but I'm just one guy, and I reach out, and it gets to a point that I have to email me details because I'm going to speak to their communications director. And I think that tells you in a nutshell. Sorry about using the word nut.
It's okay.
But,
my first ever podcast, my friends on there, they kept making like nut puns and stuff, and it was probably the funniest podcast we've done. So when it's a big organisation, I imagine there's always this kind of like structure.
Hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy and stuff. And like myself and you, I'm just an allergy page, and we have recently just
exactly. So have these guys had some media training? Was it a very carefully structured conversation? Because ultimately, I can only be honest with you, when we finished that conversation, they definitely were apologetic and agreeing with my standpoint.
To me, like I think I started this and I do like apologise because I put, even though I wasn't trying to have a go at you, I use your face and I use your restaurant picture.
Well, what else are you going to use?
That's what I mean. And like,
you definitely need to work on your AI skills a little bit.
Yeah, my AI skills are probably a bit iffy, but like that's what I mean. I think that's why it's so important, like, to just have like this conversation. And I think even though like sometimes I'm like, not like it's tough, but like obviously it's not. So you're never going to go in here and be like, this is going to be the easiest conversation, but like also like it's such an important conversation to have as well. And
of course, and already we've talked quite a bit about it. But what are we going to try and achieve? That's everybody that's having I've not hand-picked, but there's definitely some people that are prevalent on the chats, multiple threads. I've recognised their names, whether they've been a bit aggressive or really just hammering down and doubling down on their own point. I've tried to speak to each of them individually, and I said, but what is your end game? What are you trying to achieve here? Yeah. I think was it either me and you or me and your business partner had the conversation. Jacob, like, what are we looking to achieve? You're looking to achieve restaurants that are always going to accept every allergy? Are you looking for restaurants that have zero nuts present in the building? From your point of view, what is the end game, you know?
For me, it's always been about like transparency and honesty, and I mean that's like Jacob, my co-founder, because he got the reason we created Trustana, where you can review like allergy friendly restaurants, is because he got turned down from 3 restaurants. Yeah. And he obviously left the situation. I don't want to put words in his own mouth, but obviously like frustrated that he wanted to find restaurants which are good with allergies.
Of course.
And for us, it's always been about transparency and honesty, and that's why.
But how more transparent can I be, and how more honest can I be when I say our building and our due diligence and our risk assessment has led us to a point where we can't guarantee cross-contamination of 4 allergens. And
I think you've obviously with your policy, and like obviously you mentioned there, you get a text message as well. That's like, you know for a fact, like if you've got an allergy, you can't eat there.
If you're booking.
If you're booking,
And if you walk in the door, the first question that we ask, not like as you open the door, it's a beautiful welcome space. We've got a hostess that we call the magician, because she could find room in an empty box for people to sit and eat. So it's welcoming, it's not obtrusive, it's just, can I ask before we go any further?
I think for me it was like, with with other restaurants, I was always worried about like where's this kind of like fine line where other restaurants are going to take the policy, well, because you got an allergy, we don't want to serve you. And that worries me. It does, like, because I still want to eat out with an allergy and be safe. And
but ultimately, well, this is hypothetical, but let's assume you've met Holly, our amazing hostess, and you're standing in our pub, and you've suddenly realised, oh crikey, this is Bun X Norwich, it's tiny. Oh, there's the guys cooking in that space that they've told us about. And Holly says, do you know what? Because of the way we deal, and because of the way the kitchen is, and because there's probably nuts in the buns, and we've got 4 cheesecakes on the menu, and they've all got nuts in them, and we use a peanut butter burger, you can see how busy we are. The guys are working flat out. They're currently cooking 24 at once. It's an unconventional kitchen, because I don't know if you've ever worked in a kitchen. Maybe we can talk about that next. There's usually sections, you know, whether there's a larder section or a stove. But our chef, one runs the pass where all the food comes from, and everything comes from one guy. So all of his prep is right in front of him. So the sesame seeds and the nuts and all of that are there. So it's not like it's going to go from somewhere else. So we've come to the conclusion, through our sensible risk assessment, that we can't eradicate the cross-contamination of nuts. At that point, when we've had that lovely friendly, that sounded really like I was being technical about it, but it would be explained to you in a lovely friendly manner. Would you then say, I really appreciate that, Holly, thanks for letting us know?
Yeah, I would respect that. Because,
and do you know what you'd probably say? Our friends around the corner, Foot Burger, I think they can accept nuts, and it's 100 metres around the corner. They're lovely people, good friends of ours. You know.
Yeah. You know, and I would respect that. I've been in that situation multiple times where they said, look, there's too many nuts in the kitchen. We don't really feel comfortable. I go, all right, and then I eat somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
I'm not annoyed if they're transparent and honest. I'd be more annoyed if they said, we think you can eat it, and then they have an allergic reaction because it wasn't disclosed.
So let's have some real talk about that scenario playing out, because I've been there. You know, and if you're the chef, you're not the owner, are you? I mean, obviously, there is chef owners, but predominantly, if you're working in a chain restaurant, you're only following the instructions that have been given to you from a chief executive or the 15 steps to service. You know, you're a minion. You're on the cook line. You know, the other flip side is there's an owner somewhere that says, you know what, we will serve allergies. You will cope with it, and he's probably not on the cook line.
So he doesn't understand.
So the other thing that we're trying to talk about, and I don't want to use the educate because it's not up to me to educate people, and I might be incorrect, but we've done our research, we know the industry, and we know allergies, and we've already discussed the fact that they're extremely volatile, and one day could be different to the next.
And you're saying you've followed it with obviously the Food Standard Agency. You said you spoke to them as well.
I've emailed them. They've reacted and they've spoken on 1 or 2 of the threads, or they've been quoted because the information is readily available.
Out there,
we did speak to Allergy UK, and they said, look, we cannot talk on your behalf. This is a huge conversation, but the information we can give you is readily available to everybody. So it's not as if we're making stuff up. This is there for guidelines. You know, and one thing that doesn't really get discussed is things that might agitate or make your allergy worse. So, for example, if you've had a really stressful day, there's a chance that your senses are heightened. You know, if you've been exercising, you look a little bit healthier than me. Maybe you do a park run or something. Do you do park run?
Not recently, but
But have you done a park run? Maybe on a Saturday morning.
And you've gone out.
So you've had a stressful week at work. It's the weekend. You want a couple of beers and a burger. Do you know what? I'm gonna have a run first because I'm gonna burn off 2,000 calories before I eat 7,000 calories. So you've had a horrible week. You're mega stressed. You want to go and relax. You've had a park run. You've had 2 pints on the way, and I tell you that there's nuts in our kitchen. You're automatically
your immune system is
already heightened.
Because I was asking about like the allergy testing, and they were saying like when you're doing it, don't exercise. I think it's after it. Once you do the allergy, if you exercise after it, you're more likely gonna have a reaction.
So I've got another little story for you. We had a guy got to the train station and he'd ran for his train, and he had an episode, and he didn't know what it was, and it was because he'd ate at our food at our restaurant. He had no allergies. He's followed all the protocol. We'd asked him all the questions. He was like, I feel rotten. And he'd had some sort of reaction to something, and it was because he'd had 5 pints and he'd ran for his train.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to say when we're looking at blanket bans. What a horrible word to be using.
Yeah.
But there is no... We have to follow the highest risk, not the lowest risk.
Yeah.
So it isn't... We're not talking about, like I said to you earlier on, if there's 10 people in the room, which one of you guys is the most risky?
Yeah.
How can I ask every single
which
person?
One's got the nut allergy?
Yeah.
Like,
Or even if they've all got a nut allergy, yeah?
Yeah.
But how can I vet every single guest and say, have you done a park run this morning? Are you feeling a bit stressed? Are you already carrying a bug that you don't know about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our due diligence, all of these things that we've researched, has led us to the conclusion that we can't safely serve 4 allergens.
Yeah.
And we don't understand why that can't just be accepted.
Yeah.
In our kitchen, not the industry.
Yeah, and
we're not talking about the industry. You know, we're talking about our kitchen. Do you get what I mean?
And as a community, like we don't want to come across as like entitled. Well, you need to change your kitchen or change your bakery and stuff, because that's wrong.
But that is what your community is saying, isn't it? On the threads,
I can't speak on their behalf.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
but I can't speak on their behalf.
And that's what I'm trying to say about them being throwaway comments.
Yeah,
this is an opportunity to answer them, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like, so just before I got off the train to come and see you, and we've invited these conversations. We're asking people to slide in with DMs and talk about it. From your point of view, what can I do different? And a few people are saying, why don't you just have a new fryer? Why don't you have an additional fryer? We'll dig on my phone in a minute if you want. We'll have a look at the space. But it's a 700... the pub was built in 1752.
And we spoke, with, like the space of it as well.
The space, the capacity, the fryers, and all of the power that we're using.
Yeah.
One little thing will just trip it out. Sometimes you can't even plug a phone charger in. So it's not as easy as just quickly adding a new ring main or putting a fryer.
And it's like me saying, like someone said, like, well, why can't they just change the bun? It's like, well, no, it's part of your whole unique selling point.
Where am I going to buy them from? Buns or us? You know, we're guaranteed safe for everyone. Yeah, please don't think I'm trying to belittle that. What about consumer choice? What about competition?
Yeah.
And let's get down to the nitty gritty as well. I'm running a business, you know. We're British, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's crude to talk about money. But I'm running a business and I'm not making any money at all at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fighting for my life like everyone else. I'm on my knees, you know what I mean?
And that's what I mean, like definitely like small businesses and stuff and like...
Yeah, so one really interesting message came through from a follower, from you or whoever it came from, and they're saying they were really pragmatic, you know. Yeah, it's definitely something that's passionate because they're on every thread. You know, I've seen this person
a few times,
Yeah, and one of the points was, well, maybe the government should fund some training for restaurants.
It should do, yeah.
But I was like, actually, instead of saying that, why don't the government cut VAT? You know what I mean?
Do what, sorry?
Why don't they cut the VAT rate that we're all crying out for?
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't be asking for more money if we could just have a fair crack at the whip.
Yeah.
That's something that's in the news more than ever. The price of everything.
It's gone up. Inflation,
fuel, utilities, labour, the taxation, rates, rent. I'm probably the bravest man in the world right now taking on a pub. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to sweep it under the carpet, but a fryer alone is going to cost £600-700. Never mind the $2,500 for an electrician to come in. Never mind the half-day close while the electrician fitted it. It's not just as easy as popping a new fryer in.
I've had other chefs on before, and it's like, it's difficult. And like, I've had brands on before where they kind of talked about the protocols they have to go through to make sure the products even before it hits the consumer.
Exactly.
And it's expensive, and I think that's why allergy-free food is generally a bit more expensive because
of course.
They've got to do all these extra protocols,
which
people
also
don't see as well.
Also, a little flip side of that is your mate called his restaurant niche. It's a niche market, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're desperately wanting to find a product that you enjoy, and B, it's safe.
Yeah, empathy as well. Right?
Empathy,
I think this is the whole point. You know what I mean? Like, and I think so. You know what I mean? People.
I think the buzzwords I've heard most often in these last few days is empathy, discrimination, and lazy, and they're probably the three things that come up of an angle from the allergy community, an angle that they're trying to niggle away at, you know.
Yeah.
But so far from it. I mean,
no, and I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? And I think
everybody's saying you wouldn't treat a wheelchair user like this. I was like, we're in a 250-year-old pub. We were actually on a local wheelchair users Facebook group to be in the most friendly, amazing place.
Yeah.
Yet we're on a split level and the bathrooms are upstairs. All I can do is be completely honest and transparent about that as much as I am as everything else.
Yeah.
And also, everyone that's a wheelchair user puts it in the book of notes in advance.
Yeah.
Not every peanut allergy sufferer does.
Yeah.
So I've got a fighting chance to try and make their experience really enjoyable, haven't I? You know. So the guys who say, "Oh, I've heard your place is brilliant. I'm a wheelchair user." I say, "Brilliant to see you.
Yeah.
Can't wait. This is the booking link. Make sure you put it on the notes, and we'll find you an accessible table."
Yeah.
Just to let you know, though, the bathrooms are upstairs. Is that something you're going to be able to manage? Yeah, of course it is. So yeah, it's
so
not,
like the conversations there and
yeah,
stuff,
and
right?
the Discrimination Act is completely. I'm still governed by the food safety, you know.
Yeah.
Which law supersedes which? You know, all I've got to do is reasonably follow steps to make everybody's experience the same.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying I've got an allergy, I'm disabled, but
do you think it's difficult for small businesses now if they're trying to with allergies as well? Do you think like it's difficult for small businesses to kind of follow these protocols sometimes?
Of course it is. Yeah, I mean, everything costs, doesn't it? No matter what. If there's a new law comes on, and we have to train 27 staff across 2.5 days, there's a cost implication, isn't there? It's not just the cost of the training; it's who polices it. How's that audited? Who's paying for that? Who pays for the new menu change? You know, like just.
Did you mention that did you get the restaurant audited in regards to cross-contamination? Is that correct?
No, it's just our due diligence and our health and safety procedures. Come on, we've got to get insurance, haven't we? We have to follow food safety, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it just led to the conclusion that we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Which also shows that we did try.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right,
yeah. It's not like we said, "Oh, brilliant,
can't do this kind of thing." Like,
we'll do sesame buns so we can alienate a nation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's one of them. It's like obviously allergies are on the rise, and like obviously more kids now are getting diagnosed with allergies and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I say, for me, it's always comes down to having that honest and transparency there, and you know
I
for
think
sure
that
before
the rate of growth in the allergy community might be a little bit too fast for the rate of change in the industry.
Yeah, probably is, because more people are becoming aware now. Definitely with what happened with like what happened to Natasha, and obviously her parents Tanya and Nadim have set up the foundation where obviously the labelling wasn't correct on the Pret sandwich. It didn't label the allergen, it contained sesame, and she had an anaphylactic shock on the flight, and unfortunately she passed away and died. And I remember speaking to the family, it honestly broke me, like, because it's just it's really close to home as well, you know what I mean? And like even
well, it rippled through the whole industry.
Even like Owen Kerry as well, like he went to Byron Burger, where it wasn't disclosed that he asked him he wants plain grilled chicken, and they cooked it in buttermilk. So now his family are trying to, like Paul, his dad is trying to get all the top allergens on paper or on the menu. I think on the menu's a little bit difficult because things change on the menu online, but whether it's like a tablet or...
It is, exactly. We've got the matrix, it's all easily accessible anytime anyone asks a question. Of course it sparks a little bit of a group chat goes off. Can I just double check something? Hey chef, can I just double check that this is there? So if we go back to the guy that was almost abusive in our restaurant because he was allergic to cream, when we asked him, is it the sugars or the proteins? You know, we're asking the questions we need to be asking. You know, are we looking at lactose here? Is it the whey protein? Or is it just cream? Are you sure it's not like a thickening agent or something that might have given it an extra shelf life? Like Elm Lee.
The conversation,
I don't know. I say, but if you don't know, we don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And especially, I think that calls like it goes down a horrible road then when we're looking at these foundations of people that have suffered so much tragedy, and a middle-aged man's going to point his finger at my staff and poke them in the chest because we can't serve them. You know?
Yeah.
What are you allergic to? You've had it for 40 years and you don't know. How can I make that decision at 2:00 on an afternoon?
Yeah.
That's risky.
I mean, the risks are really high.
The risk is mega high.
If something happens in that fault, that could shut down a restaurant as well.
Sure, it's ruining reputations and livelihoods.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, it could also have killed him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This guy literally had an ambulance called recently to a restaurant because cream was put in a pie, and they didn't know if it was in the filling or the pastry.
Yeah.
You know,
that's scary. Yeah.
That is scary.
It scares the hell out of me eating out. Definitely when I've not eaten at that restaurant before.
Of course,
you're trying to understand, do they understand the risk? And it can be really hard because sometimes when they're quite kind of like blasé about it, and they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, no, you need to check with the chef. And I always say to them, like, just check with the chef. So
this is what we're trying to say, and all this backlash we've got. There's thousands of operators out there saying it will be fine, and we're one of the few, because there is thousands like us as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, somehow we've just been put in the press. Yeah. That's it. We're not saying we can't. We're just saying we're absolutely sorry that we cannot serve you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, to me. Let's use the analogy of there's 3 restaurants to choose from, all next to each other, and one sign says we are certified celiac safe.
Yeah.
The other one says we're gluten-free friendly, and the other one says we do not serve celiacs. Out of them 3, which one do you think is definitely going to have no reaction?
Obviously, if they don't serve.
Which is me.
Yeah.
And I haven't done nothing that's discriminatory or illegal.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it because we're literally at a fried chicken restaurant. We're throwing fried chicken around.
And there's
And then a lot of your followers are saying, how come you can control raw meat? And how can you compare raw meat to an allergy?
Yeah.
You know, we're fully trained after years and years and years, and our processes are immaculate in handling raw meat. Sesame allergy or flour allergy or celiac disease can't be cooked out. Do you know what I mean? There is a separate station for doing the raw meat. We don't do it on the pass in front of the customer.
I think, like, I've been to restaurants, I think Hartsmore are quite good, where they've got like a separate station, but they might have a much bigger establishment where...
I wonder how much money got invested in Hawksmoor.
It'd be massive, It's a massive...
500 million maybe?
Yeah.
You know, we literally started this tiny little thing out of necessity. We all lost our jobs in lockdown.
Yeah.
I was brave enough to go knock on pub doors that were empty and say, do you mind if I hire your kitchen, we'll just do some Deliveroo stuff.
Yeah.
And one weekend we put burgers on the menu and I handmade 20 buns and we sold them. And now, as I say, we're doing 2,000 a week.
Yeah.
You know, I've went from just me and one guy to employing 27 people in a small community, all local suppliers.
All since the lockdown.
Yeah, all since lockdown, all within 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, so every penny that comes in goes back. We go
into the business,
into our local community, the local butcher, the local fruit and veg guy, the guy that makes them buns. You know, and all I've done is protect people.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I'm hold over the coals and I'm sitting in a podcast in London about the big bad wolf. You know what I mean? It's fascinating to me.
Nah, and I think for me, like, it wasn't an issue. Like, I think when we had that conversation, like, we agreed to do the podcast. For me, it was just like having that open, honest, and humanizing the story.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me that was the main thing, because like I felt guilty. I never wanted people to start attacking you. That wasn't why I set up the page and stuff.
So that's why I've got to take it to that next that next step. I mean, what can we achieve then?
Yeah.
You know, what can we do? Because when I was talking to the Natasha Foundation, I said, what goes on behind closed doors then? When we would love to be invited as operators. They might do. I don't know. She didn't answer the question. Yeah. But if they're they're so well connected with so many different establishments and business and organisations. Like, I'm just literally a guy with a page trying to raise awareness for allergies. But it'd be interesting to see. Through 1,000, the amount of traction we've got through it, and I've actually asked people what is the end game. We could throw 1,000 ideas. Some of them will stick, you know.
Yeah.
If you've got it, you said when you were 5, you sat in your nan's car, your mum's car. Yeah. You had a reaction to nuts. You must have went to a doctor.
Yeah.
At that point, you were, he's allergic to nuts.
Yeah.
At that point, do you not get a card or something? You know, do you know what I mean?
I think as a kid, I used to have a bracelet, and it used to say like, I've got like a nut allergy and stuff. And the reason I set, honestly, the reason I set up this page was a lot of young teenagers. I think it was a crazy statistic, didn't speak up about their allergy. Yeah. And I've always felt quite confident and like passionate about it. That's the whole reason I set up this page, was for people to speak about allergy. And now with Trustan is for people to eat out safely. Because for me, like, allergy. So Google and like TripAdvisor don't cater for people with allergies. It's really hard to find restaurants which actually say, "Oh, this restaurant is safe," or "This is not."
Yeah, I think it's
I've shared it. Yeah, and I really respected that.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good platform.
Yeah, I respect that.
But maybe we could help develop it from an internal point of view.
That's the next. Honestly, that's the next bit. And like, I know you spoke to my co-founder Jacob. Like, we want to work with restaurants. We're not here to bash, like, we want to work closely with restaurants.
The whole point though is, if you've got that platform and it's working and it discovers, or we end up on it as one of the restaurants that can't serve certain allergies, then all power that, surely that's the end game. Like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about if we can't do it. It's just a matter of fact. I know people say we should try harder, but they need to understand that we're only at this point because we've tried, you know.
And that's what I mean. If I think the thing what like, I know me, if people read the headline and they left you a review and they've not eaten there or they wasn't aware of that. For me, I don't agree with that. I've always think it's about transparency.
We had quite a few 1-star reviews, but we had hundreds of 5-star reviews, but they're just as fake. I don't want them either, you know. And actually, Google have been removing them. Yeah. Somehow we've got into Google's like
algorithm,
somebody somewhere in the Google office, you know, they're another one for that's fake, you know.
Yeah.
So it's we found it really ironic that everybody that comes in leaves a 1-star TripAdvisor review because we can't handle allergies.
Yeah.
But it's like review sort of Inception. How has he not read that one then?
Yeah.
Why is he here? Right.
So that's the reason we built Trust on it, so you can filter out. Because even on TripAdvisor, I think TripAdvisor, you can Google allergies, but predominantly not everyone always leaves allergy reviews unless they've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
Whereas the difference with ours, if you've had a good experience, people actually share that.
Whereas
usually when people had a bad experience, they just share it on Google.
Could you not harvest that information somehow?
What's that, sorry?
Do you know what I mean? For your website, could you?
Yeah, like we launched it like 4 months ago, and we've got about 920 allergy reviews in 4 months. And we're trying to use that to hopefully help businesses and understand like how we can support.
So what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah. Like there is platforms out there that we get reviewed on that we've never even heard of because somebody's harvested data. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could...
Ours is all from the community, so we've not used that data from elsewhere. Yeah. It's all from people who've gone on Trustana and added it in. So it's all community led. And we're just two guys with allergies. We've been building this on the side alongside our full-time jobs. No investment.
Yeah.
Like just time, effort, and like we myself and Jacob, I speak to him more than I speak to my mum. Like people usually only leave bad allergy reviews.
Well, if you go out to dine out, forgetting about your allergy, do you use review platforms?
Not like, really, because you can't find.
But even if you fancy going out for dinner, I think some people. They want to go and see if it's good, but you also want to have a look at the gossipy bit, don't they?
Yeah,
you'll definitely have a look at
how I used to do it was like predominantly. Say if they've got find a good restaurant on Google, then go on their menu and see how many nuts you see on the menu.
Yeah.
And that'll give me a bit, and then I'll ring them and say, look, can you cater for allergies? Or sometimes you might not have you might be in a rush, or it might be in the moment. You're like, I found this restaurant. I go there and say, can you cater? Yeah. And if they say, no, I feel like. I go with my gut feeling, so I feel like if they can't cater for it, and I think, maybe they're not that educated, and maybe like, you know what, I don't trust them. I'll eat somewhere else.
Yeah.
If I went to yours and you said, look, we can't cater for the allergies, and I'd be like, all right. Yeah,
because we haven't really spoke about like any like legal side of it, or in terms of hypothetical situations. Like, it's all very well me saying, well, I don't want to get sued or go to prison or get fined or whatever. How often that happens, there's no statistic out there really.
Yeah.
It's just about eliminating the risk for me. But the second that somebody steps in and says, I've got an allergy, that is literally your risk doesn't exist anymore. It is mine.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Like, I'm not on shift, but that restaurant is operating under
your name.
Yeah, and if anything went wrong, and if it instigated an investigation, it would be all of the things we've talked about. What is the training like? What is it like in the manual? Have they had an incident? Is there a matrix? Do they get asked? And I'm squeaky clean, aren't I?
Yeah.
Because it's on me. It's written on the menu.
Yeah.
It's written on the Instagram profile, and it's written across our pinned posts. It's in the newspaper. Do you know what I mean?
Like everywhere,
it's
Because I think it's quite scary. Like sometimes people with allergies, because everyone's allergy is different. Some people are mild, and some people are anaphylaxis, and that could like obviously kill you. So it's really difficult because some people with mild allergies might take a risk, and they might say they've got a mild nut allergy, but they might say, well, the buns, it only says may contain, it's fine for me. Some people can't.
So do you mean they would come and not tell us?
Well, I don't know. Some people
because even if they say to us it's a mild allergy, that's what I'm trying to say to you about all the information out there saying. One day mild, next day severe. It's not as if you've been.
So
diagnosed.
Someone came to you and said, "I've got a mild nut allergy. It's not anaphylaxis, but it's not been anaphylaxis yet.
Yeah.
but I usually can eat stuff what says may contain, like the buns, for example.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable serving them or not?
We can't serve them.
Yeah.
That's our due diligence. That's our protocol, and that's how it fits in with our insurance policy.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't, because we are being led by the guidance we've reached out for from the FSA and all the other information.
Because it's really interesting. Someone reached out, or someone tagged me something, and I watched bits of the video, and I think he went to Nando's, and I think, I don't know if his daughter or someone had a milk allergy, or it might have been a nut allergy or something.
Yeah.
And they basically said, I think the long story short, I think they said, because you've disclosed this allergy now, we can't serve you. He's like, well, I just want to order that, or order something else. And I was like, no, we can't serve you now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he was like obviously upset, like why. He's like, well, I want to speak to someone else. And I don't know the full story, but like I think it's definitely in the same sphere of conversation we're talking about.
Exactly, because we can't make them decisions on risk in real time during service, when statistically or chemically or whatever you want to use, that you've got no idea whether today your reaction will be mild or severe.
Yeah.
So that's when I was asking you earlier on, how did you first start? Like, how does most allergies start? Somebody must have tried something, something, they have a reaction. If it was always going to be anaphylactic, that would be it every single time you ate it, wouldn't it?
Depends on like.
You know, like I mean, if every allergy was always going to be anaphylactic, the time you ate them nuts in the car, that would have been a catastrophic event.
Yeah.
But
my body at the time, obviously I reacted, but luckily it didn't get any worse than anaphylaxis.
But the next time it could be.
Yeah, you never know.
And there's no one to predict it. Therefore, we can't make that decision for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're allergic to it, so today it might be fine.
Yeah.
But it suddenly might not
it's
be.
like I was saying.
How do we ever get to a point where we can define the difference safely? You know what I mean? I don't know if that would ever happen.
Yeah.
Like unless you had a rating or something, or you know.
Well, that's what I mean. I think like because everyone's got like different. It's such a grey area, because like say some people can eat may contain. I know friends.
Yeah.
But
they must have had a reaction somehow.
Yeah, they've had a reaction, but they did the blood tests and they did the allergy, the skin prick test, or they might do a food challenge and say, you know what, your allergy isn't anaphylaxis.
Yeah.
You can risk eating may contain, but that comes up to the allergy doctors.
And so I think if that was to help the industry from both sides, then there needs to be some sort of discussion or legislation about that.
Yeah.
That needs to be in that needs to be in as part of the allergen matrix. You know, the 14 that we've got. You know,
it's like, because I think it's important. So, for example, I went out to Albert Schloss, which is like, have you been to the one?
No,
we've got one in Manchester. It's like a German bar.
Right, okay.
We've got one in London, and we went. My friend came over. I was like, oh, we'll get bottomless brunch there.
Yeah,
and the reason I chose it because I didn't see any nuts on the menu. So, so I went there. Never eaten there. I think I've eaten there once before, but it was years ago. Yeah. Anyway, I went there and went, oh, we're a completely nut-free kitchen.
Yeah.
However, check the allergy matrix to see if anything says like may contain. I just wanted the full English or whatever, and it didn't have the MC, so it was completely safe. But if it did have that MC button, say may contain nuts or whatever, I wouldn't have been able to eat that dish. So, yeah,
it's funny. So just on a side note, we also ban bottomless brunches. So try a little new podcast on that.
Yeah, you'll be getting another headline.
So it's been
it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Jeff. And
brilliant!
I think it's honestly going to open up people's minds to the conversation, you know what I mean? And I think a lot has been discussed online in the comments, but I think to have this podcast, hopefully it'll raise awareness and do well. Yeah.
Well, let's carry it on. If we've got some momentum, anytime if you've got an idea or if there's anything we can help, we've got a voice, you've got a voice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
And if anyone wants to follow or find out more about yourself and Bun X, you want to share that?
Yeah, get on Bun X, Norwich. We're honest and open. It's always me that's on the other side of the DMs.
Yeah.
And I like to chat, as you can tell. So if you've got any questions, we'll always answer them honestly and openly. Definitely, 100%.
Honestly, thank you so much for doing the podcast today. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much.
Cheers. Thank you.